Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello. All right, I think we're waiting. I don't think we have a quorum, so we need to wait for a few more people.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think a quorum would be 4.
Denise, will Nicole be here today?
No, actually, Nicole has been called out for jury duty, and so she will not be back in the office until later next week. So Patrice and I will be navigating the meetings and managing them ourselves. So please bear with us. We went from 2 people to 3 people. Now we're back to 2 again. So.
No problem. Thank you, Patrice, for stepping in. All right, how many do we have? 1, 2,
Oh, right.
3, 4.
Yeah, I think the next committee member that joins should do it.
Okay.
And I don't know if folks saw Stephanie's email, but she's got a conflict, so she's gonna be late, pretty late, like not early enough for us to count on her for this. But
Okay. Hopefully we could get one more person to make the quorum. Joe or Cheryl, maybe. Well, let's do this. Well, can we start with introductions or do we need to wait for the quorum first?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Technically, there's no meeting until there's a quorum. I don't think that
Okay.
introducing yourselves, you could just do that as a community sort of opportunity and then call the meeting if you don't get a quorum.
Okay, so we'll start with introductions. I'm Bisa French. I am the Chief of Police at Richmond Police Department and serving my last few minutes as the chair of the Diversion Subcommittee.
You hope.
Yeah, I hope. Yes, right. If somebody will log on. All right. Patrice, you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Patrice Guillory. I'm the new director of the Office of Reentry and Justice. This is my first diversion subcommittee meeting that I'm joining. So I look forward to hearing the discussion. I will also have to jump off at 2. However, you'll still have Denise. So between the both of us, as she mentioned, we'll be supporting you all today.
Thank you. I'm just going according to the tiles on my screen. So Savannah.
Good afternoon, everybody. Savannah Stewart, Richmond Police Department. I am currently assigned to the homicide unit. This is my first meeting, and I'm looking forward to sharing our diversion program with you all.
Thank you, Dawn.
Let me come off mute. Hello, everyone. I'm Dawn Moultrie, and I'm the Director of Programs for the Richmond Police Activities League. Very nice to meet everyone and looking forward as well to sharing our diversion program.
Thank you. Kyra.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kira Faulkner. I'm with the Probation Department. I currently manage our, it's okay, Bisa, you'll get it.
I'm so sorry, Kira. I
It's
went
okay.
to school for 4 years with Kira, played on softball, and I keep calling her Kyra for some reason. Sorry.
That's okay. It's actually not that uncommon. Kira, Kyra, all those names.
I know you too long to call you something else, though. Okay.
It's all right. So I currently manage our East County office, and this office holds both the juvenile and adult divisions.
Thank you. Judge Beckton.
Good afternoon, everyone. Diana Beckton, District Attorney.
Denise.
Hi, everyone. I'm Denise Zabkevich. I'm the Research and Evaluation Manager with the Office of Reentry and Justice.
All right. Public Defender Lipinski, Robin.
Hi, Robin Lipetsky, Public Defender.
All right. James. I'm sorry, Chris James.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Chris James here with the W. Haywood Burns Institute. I apologize that I can't be on screen. I'm a little under the weather this week, and actually we'll have to jump off a little early to go to the doctor and try to, get things taken care of. So hopefully we have a meeting and, our chair position moves on to someone else.
I have 5 committee members present. Is that quorum for this group?
I think it should be.
5.
5. I have you, Bisa, DA Beckton, Kira, Michael Pearson, and Robin.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So some of those committee members are so new, I think, that they just don't stand out in our heads as members. But I forgot that I think Kira was stepping into this group in place of Melvin. Yeah, I forgot that.
Great.
Great. All right, Michael.
Hi, good afternoon. Michael Pearson. I'm an attorney with Key Counsel PC, and I am a, community-based organization member on the board.
All right. Alicia or Alicia.
Good afternoon. It's Alicia, and I'm with the Office of Supervisor Diane Burgess.
Thank you. And Jill.
Hello, Jill Ray with Supervisor Candace Anderson's office.
All right, thank you. All right, so we have enough for a quorum to start. We already did welcome and introductions. If there's any announcements, we could do that right now. If not, we'll move to public comment. All right, not seeing any public comment. So the item that I'm interested in and look forward to is the nomination and election of a new subcommittee chair. As those of you who attended the last quarterly meeting, I'm stepping into the chair of the RJOB, and so I'm giving up my seat as chair of the diversion subcommittee, and so we need a new chair. Any nominations? Any volunteers, I should say. And don't all speak at once. Nominations. This is how I got stuck with the other one, so. All right, you guys, I can't do both, so somebody hopefully will step up. Working with James is great. That should be an incentive. Should we nominate somebody that's not here? There's an idea. Come on, I'm in my last few minutes to give this position up. Somebody wants to take it.
As Chris says in the comments here, you're welcome to nominate people, so we can throw some names out there.
Well.
And in my old world, if you were absent from a meeting, that meant you got the task.
So who's absent?
Tamisha is just coming on, but Stephanie and Cheryl. Who else?
I nominate Stephanie.
And I was just gonna say, does anyone know whether Stephanie is receptive to being the chair of this committee?
I would strongly doubt that because she's just leaving the co-chair position for our job at large. And again, just to cover my bases, she sent an email and said she's gonna be here. She just has another meeting that is conflicting until 2. So for whatever that's worth.
Can we move this agenda item to 2 o'clock?
Okay, we'll move this agenda item till 2 o'clock. All right, I assume there's no public comment right now for it since we're moving it. Next on our agenda is approval of the record of actions from the last meeting. Is there a motion to move?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay. Is there a second?
A second.
All right, Patricia, you gonna do the roll call?
I can do that.
Oh, thank you, Denise.
Sure. Bisa,
Aye.
Robin, Michael,
Aye.
Kara,
Hi.
and DA Beckton,
Yes.
and Tamisha.
Present.
It was a motion. to
Tamisha,
move.
that would be an aye, or
Oh.
nay.
It was a motion to move them.
I'm
We're
like,
approving the minutes.
I thought you were trying to clarify the role because I just came in and I was like, oh, snap. I missed the roll. Sorry, everybody, but yes.
Well, you're in time for the vote, so that's perfect. Thank you. So motion passes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to receive presentations on the county diversion programs for youth. And we're starting off with probation and Kira.
Right, some of you probably already have seen this presentation, added a little bit more to it since then, but I'll get at my PowerPoint here. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, sweet. Okay. All right. Remember how to do
Kara,
this.
you might
Okay,
want
here
to
we
put
go.
it though in slide mode.
So I do, but it's on my second screen. That's what happened.
Ah, got it. Okay.
Can you see it now? Oh,
Oh.
Technologically challenged.
There you go.
Did that work? Okay.
No, you can't select from the beginning.
Like I said, I have two screens and it goes to my second one and I can't, Lord knows how to get this back over there.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if it's all right with you, I'll just shoot it this way. Is that okay with everybody?
Sure.
Well, we have,
Okay.
the presentation is also in the agenda packet. So maybe, let's see, maybe I can share if that's okay.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's see. No way. Is this it right here, Patrice?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. So if you want to scroll up to the introduction, sorry, we have to do it this way. So just a little quick background on me. I've been with the probation department for 21 years, and I started at juvenile hall working with the girls on the girls unit. And then after about 3 years, I transitioned into the field working as a probation officer, and pretty much over the next 13 years, stayed within the juvenile division, working as a court officer, working in placement, juvenile investigations, the ranch, and I think that's about it. I did placement a couple of times. And then from there, I transitioned into the adult world and went to AB 109, which is actually where I met Patrice. And, you know, eventually from there was promoted to supervisor. I worked in the felony investigations unit. And then I worked in AB 109 out here in Antioch. And then I transitioned back to the juvenile division and worked there, which is where I gained all my insight on these intake referrals, which is what we're going to discuss this afternoon. And so basically, you know, we receive two different types of referrals. That's either a felony referral or a misdemeanor referral. Most of the felony referrals tend to be, you know, serious and violent, fall under the 707B Welfare and Institutions Code, and quite a few of those wind up in juvenile hall after being arrested. And felony referrals tend to be direct filed or direct referred, I should say, to the district attorney's office, who, if it's an in custody case, they do have timelines on when they can file a petition, a charging document. If it's out of custody, they have a little bit more time for investigation if needed. But felony referrals, again, just tend to go direct to the district attorney's office. What's different is misdemeanor referrals. So misdemeanor referrals, all of them come through the probation department. If they go to the DA's office, it's typically done by accident, and then it gets referred to us because we are the ones that are kind of, we're the ones that get to decide how further this needs to go. So they're usually out of custody, or actually, excuse me, they are all out of custody. And once we receive the police report from the various police agencies within our county. A file is created, a probation identification number is assigned, and then that citation is forwarded to the geographic area of the county by which the child lives. So in West County, we consider Crockett to El Cerrito, West County. Central County is Martinez, Concord, Pleasant Hill, pretty much the 680 corridor down to San Ramon. And then East County is Bay Point to Far East Discovery Bay. So what's important to note here is that once the probation department receives the referral or receives the citation, at that point, we are working on prevention. We are working on preventing that youth from entering into the system further, entering the court system further. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to halt it at us, if possible. And as you'll see, we'll talk about, there's some instances we don't have that choice. Statutorily, we are unable, but in quite a few of these, we can. So once the citation is received, or the referral is received by the respective juvenile supervisor, we have one in each of our 3 offices. They take a look at it, and they then decide to go ahead and assign it to a probation officer. And that assignment can be because where the kid goes to school, could be because where the kid lives, in terms of, are they closer to a police department, so on and so forth. And then that police officer, that probation officer makes the determination of where we go next. They're going to take a look at the police report. They're going to look at any prior history if there's some. They're going to take a look at, what are our options with this case? Is it something that we have to send to the district attorney's office, or is this something that we can handle in-house? The other option is to take a look at it and say, you know what, we don't need to get involved at all. And this seems like something that if I just called mom and dad and just touched base real quick and said, hey, we just want to let you know we got this case, but it appears it was a mutual fight at school and we're not going to do anything more with it. Just wanted to make sure you're aware of this. And then we can just close it at intake. The other options we have are to place the youth on a 3-month in-house informal probation for the 654 Welfare and Institutions Code. And we can make referrals under these circumstances. We have the Victim Offender Reconciliation Program, which is also known as VORP, and that's on the east and west end sides. That's more of a restorative justice concept. We can assign the youth to complete some community service hours. If it's a alcohol or driving related offense, we can send them to Start Smart, which is held by the CHP. It's a free class, and they can take that virtually. Or if we figure that, or if we learn that maybe there's something a little bit more heavy going on in the family that needs to be addressed, we also have the option of referring to our forensic behavioral health team via the FFT, functional family therapy, MST, multisystemic therapy, or the multidimensional family therapy. So we have those options as well. And you can roll, thank you. So when we are taking a look at a case and we are reviewing it, we have this tool that we can use, and it's the screening for informal supervision sheet. As you can see, there's 2 sections. We have our eligibility factors and then our suitability factors. And we can go through each of these and figure out, is this person, is this youth somebody that would be suitable for an informal probation, or do we look at some of these factors and determine, no, you know what, this case needs to go to the DA to have them review and make a determination as to what steps should be taken hereafter. So for example, of the eligibility factors, if the case is 707B, or if it's under paren D, the petition alleges the minor has violated 18622, which is a gang code. Those make the youth ineligible for an informal in-house probation. Okay. Under suitability factors, if it's a DUI, that makes the youth ineligible. If it's significant harm to a victim, that could possibly make the kid ineligible for an informal. So this is just to show you that we do have a document that we do use and can refer to when making a determination how to move forward with the citation we received. As I mentioned earlier, there are some cases, some offenses where we are statutorily held to sending the referral to the district attorney's office. And these here are the list of offenses. So, and these are misdemeanor offenses, okay? So we've got controlled substance on school grounds, assault with weapon other than a firearm causing great bodily injury on a school employee. We have gun on school grounds, knife, taser, other weapons on school grounds. We have participating in a criminal street gang, DUIs, reckless driving, and hit and run. So those are the ones that we are going to refer to the DA for further review for them to decide how to move forward. And that could be to go ahead and draw up a charging document, also known as a petition, or they can close it out due to lack of evidence or interest of justice. And this is just a snapshot of what we provide our juvenile supervisors and probation officers to kind of be a guide as to when they receive that misdemeanor referral, they can take a quick look at this and say, oh, that's a DUI right there under Welfare and Institutions Code 256. I need to send this over to the DA because they have to take a mandatory DA or DUI class. And then underneath that, per judge, request petition to be heard by judge. And this is relating to the hit and runs, the reckless driving, and it looks like speed contest is another option. So if it's determined the youth is going to be placed on a 3-month informal probation, an informal supervision agreement is drawn up, and it contains terms and conditions that are agreed upon. And that agreement is then signed by the youth, by the parent or guardian, and the probation officer. In that, we also talk about the length of time. Actually, per the code, it can be no longer than 6 months, but we have to start with 3 months. So it's always set at 3 months. And, you know, we want that youth to try their best to complete all the terms and conditions and follow all the terms and conditions that are agreed upon within that 3-month time frame. But to be honest, if he or she is assigned 10 community service hours and they manage to get that done in under the 3 months, we can take a look at that, review it, and say, hey, you know what, you did a great job. We're going to go ahead and just close this out right now. So we do have some flexibility in there, and we kind of let the youth drive the bus, so to speak, as to how long that actually needs to go on. So, and in my personal experience, the youth do tend to terminate before the 3 months just because they are good about getting on what needs to get done. You know, the other thing that I like to do when we're talking about this is just there on the next to last bullet point is we talk about the record seal process. Because it's important, I think, that the families and the kids know the reason why they want to complete this informal agreement successfully, because we want to be able to write a really glowing report for them when they do apply for the record seal. And we'll talk about that, I think, in the next slide or two. So this is an example of the informal supervision agreement. You can see that, you know, we consent to the probation supervision per this code, and these are the terms and conditions that I will follow. I will obey all laws, obey parents, attend school, report to the probation officer as directed, report any contacts I have with police. I will participate in a program of counseling, and then, of course, you know, you can add even more, such as community service hours, start smart, things of that nature that we discussed earlier. Now, this is a flexible document. We don't have to impose the ones that are already written there. We can just pick and choose the ones that actually line up with what happened and why the kid was referred to us to begin with. I think that's also important to note. You can see here, just going down a little bit further, that the youth is advised that they do have a right to a speedy trial by a judge. They have a right to have an attorney present, and that they are giving up those rights to do this informal agreement. And then, as mentioned, we all sign it and date it. All right, so any youth that comes through the probation department, whether it be a youth that's placed on wardship probation, whether it's or adjudicated award, whether it's a person that's under the conditions that we're talking about, even if it's a kid that we didn't do anything with, right? The close-it intakes that I talked about earlier, all of them, as long as they complete their probation successfully, they have offenses that are allowed, they all get the opportunity to have their record sealed, which means we want to take their name out of the DOJ database. That's what it is. And we want to remove their name from any police agency they've had contact with. We want to take it all away from the DA's office. We want to make it appear as though this never happened, right? That's what a record seal ideally is supposed to do. So with those youth that are coming to us with a misdemeanor citation, what they qualify for is 2 of those codes that that clarify the record sealing process. The first is our second bullet point, which is the 786.5. So basically what we do, this is an in-house thing. We strip the file, we make notifications that this kid has been, that his record needs to be sealed. But it's kind of more of an in-house thing. But we do notify police agencies and things of that nature. But in this instance, the best way to really get it out of the DOJ's database and through everybody else is that when they turn 18, they send us an application to have their record sealed per the 781 Welfare and Institutions Code, which is bullet point number 1. That's a much more in-depth process. The probation department is responsible for writing a report. That report then is referred to the DA's office, who reviews it, signs off on it, says yay or nay to whether or not the record seal should be completed, and then ultimately goes to the court. And the court, the presiding judge, who is Judge Hinton at this time, she's the one that gives the final seal of approval, and then notifications go everywhere. It's much more formal process and much more thorough process. So that's something that we inform the kids, you know, that once they turn 18, they need to make sure to turn that record seal request in. And I even tell the parents, hey, put this in your tickler file, put it in your iPhone as a date to remember. Just real quick overview on stats and data. So I think everybody can expect this, that the majority of the misdemeanor referrals come from the cities of Richmond, Concord, and Antioch. Other high referral agencies are Danville, San Ramon, El Cerrito, and the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office. In looking at the stats for 2019 to 2020, and I must inform you that we handwrite all of our stuff. We do not have a case management system. So this is as accurate as we could possibly get. So in West County, you'll see in 2019, we had about 100 referrals, but typically, so we missed a few months on this stat, but they usually run between, a little bit higher than that, about 150. But in 2020, we only had 66. 2019 in Central County, we had 156. 2020, we had 80. In East County, 2019, we had 207. And in 2020, we had 105. Now, obviously, that's to be expected because of COVID. The numbers dropped a little bit. Needless to say, this seems to be the trend anyway. I just got an email from my juvenile supervisor in Central County, and she let me know that they are behind this year from last year. So I believe she said this year they've only received 23, whereas at this time last year they had 44. So that does seem to be the trend. The misdemeanor offenses that are most referred to the probation department are battery offenses, and then followed by vandalism, weapon on school grounds, and burglary. And then just an interesting tidbit here, again, comparing the 2 years. In 2020, Central County DUIs increased by 50%, whereas alcohol possession decreased by 30%, which seems interesting. But the reason for that is because in 2020, everything was shut down. A lot of my alcohol possession citations I receive are actually from the ABC when they're running operations during New Year's Eve and 4th of July. And that seems to be when the kids get caught walking around with open containers, is during the Snowball Festival in Tahoe, and then also the 4th of July festivities. So since we were shut down, the number dropped. In West County, in 2020, gun-related offenses increased, as did resisting arrest, whereas in East County, there didn't seem to be any change in any specific category. And I lost your faces. Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Hello. And then, is that it? Oh, sorry. I sent that without erasing it first. So that's pretty much the gist. I think what's important to note as well, just the last thing, is we are trying to start a relationship with the Restore program, which is, as some of you probably already know, is with RISE and the DA's office. We are at the point where we're trying to identify a few cases that we have currently that might satisfy the criteria. And that's going to be our West and East County offices that are looking into that. So that's kind of where we sit with it. And so we're looking forward to getting that started. So does anybody have any questions about this process? I hope it was clear as mud. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Kira. No questions. We will move.
I actually
into-
I had
Oh.
one. I was just
Go
trying
ahead,
to
Chris.
give members a chance, noting that I'm not an actual, member of our job. But I'm curious. So I know that you all take your stats by hand. I know that's not easy, but I'm curious if there might be a way to capture race and ethnicity data in terms of outcomes, so that if there's anything from our end in terms of policy or practice recommendations that could be recommended to make sure that everybody gets the same opportunities. Just that's what this group is meant to monitor and to try its best to ensure. So any information along that line would be helpful.
Yeah, so in our stat keeping, or I should say, we're actually logging the referrals that come into us. And in that, I know that in the 4 years that I was in the juvenile division following this, I kept every year, I kept expanding my spreadsheet to include additional information. And so now I think for the last maybe 2 or 3 years, we have been including the demographics. We have been including a column for, what the result was. Did we close it? Was the kid on informal? Did we refer it to the DA? And if so, was a petition filed? And what was the result of that petition? Well, I shouldn't say that part. We just kept to see if the petition was filed, because we knew for the most part, 90, I don't know, maybe DA Beckton can chime in on this, but I would say 95+% of the time, the court is going to find the youth responsible for something charged on that document. But we do have that information. It's just, in about 3 different spreadsheets.
We also, Chris, have data that probation sends to DOJ on youth. And Kara, this would be the JJ CPS or PCS data. Does that sound familiar to you? But it includes all the data that you were speaking of. So we do have access to it in one location. And it includes demographics as well. So.
Is that just for DJJ kids, or is this for all the misdemeanor referrals as well? And or any other?
It includes misdews as well.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
All right, if there are no more questions, we can move on to the next one, which is Judge Beckton.
Share the screen. Can everyone see the share screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just going to, there's just a few programs that we have that are really aimed at diversion and providing alternatives to incarceration. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today as we talk about diversion and some of the alternatives, and then also ways that we are trying to reduce recidivism. So let's see here. I have them listed here. If I could figure out how to move the slide. Okay, there we go. So I think the first one, our Restorative Justice Program, I know that Stephanie from RISE presented on this last week or last month. So I won't go into a ton of detail here, but we were awarded $1 million from the state to establish a countywide juvenile diversion pre-filing program for Contra Costa County. It's the first countywide program for our county. We are partnered with the RISE Youth Center as well as Impact Justice to initiate this restorative justice program. Our goals here are to redirect our youth from the juvenile and the criminal justice system, also to reduce the pipeline into the criminal justice system, and certainly to lower recidivism. And we also do this work with an eye towards reducing disparities in our criminal justice system. So we were able to, we had hoped to have a big kickoff for this, but we were in the midst of COVID. But with credit to Stephanie and her team and also Impact, even through the use of Zoom, they were able to get us going and actually serving our youth with this program. We're very pleased about that. And actually, it probably allowed us to expand what we were able to do because they were able to serve youth all over the county. I don't have any statistics yet. I know we've had a couple of successful graduations, but we're going to be looking at these cases over a 3-year period. And then, of course, we'll be producing a report that talks in full about what we were able to accomplish. And it will also give us an opportunity to have some data and tracking so that we can clearly show that we've reduced recidivism. The next thing that we're doing is we're just having, this is really more right now of a conversation that we initiated this past year to reimagine youth justice, because here we want to be studying and making recommendations on the most effective ways to invest in our youth. And we want to be looking at this with a lens of restorative and community-based solutions where possible, instead of continuing to invest so much of our resources in youth prisons, which we believe have had a worse outcomes for our children. So we're engaging in that conversation as well. Our neighborhood courts, now I'm moving more towards our adult alternatives. We still, unfortunately, have not been able to get hired. First part of that was creating the position in our HR system. And then of course, COVID affected that and the hiring freeze. I think we're finally at the place now where they're able to begin to recruit for our position. So hopefully our neighborhood courts will be able to come to fruition this year. We're depending on this very much. It's a model very much after San Francisco, where people within our communities and in the different parts of our county would be the trained arbitrators. And so not all of but many of the low level and nonviolent offenses, instead of coming to our office for filing, would go directly into the neighborhood courts. The community arbitrators, using sort of a restorative justice lens, would hear the case and come up with the appropriate solution, not only to hold a person accountable, but also to make amends with the community for the harm caused. And so that kind of leads me into the next place where we have an adult diversion program, and that is with Corrective Solutions. We, once we get our youth diversion, our neighborhood courts up and running, then our Corrective Solutions program would be dismantled. But this right now is where we send our low-level and nonviolent offenses. They have a program. We've worked with them over the years to really make this process more fair and equitable, because there is a small fee associated with it. We were able to get those fees reduced, I think almost by a third, and also require Corrective Solutions, when they send out letters to people letting them know that they can participate in the program, that if they do not have the ability to pay, that is not a deterrent, that they can still participate in the program. So we were successful in getting those changes made as well. So a lot of the cases that you might have normally seen come into our criminal justice system, instead we send them there. And if they successfully complete, then no charges are filed for those low-level nonviolent cases. We have also used, although it is not what you would call a program, we have used prosecutorial discretion not to charge certain cases. Probably the most, and a lot of this was driven by, I would say, a lot of different reasons. Part of it being a directive, from our court, frankly, to reduce the number of misdemeanors in our system. Also driven by the expenditures from the county, because when we have a lot of misdemeanors coming into our system, it means that the public defender's office cannot handle all of the cases, and then they have to conflict out, requiring the county to have to pay private legal counsel to handle those cases. So we began to think about ways that we could still keep our community safe, but divert these low-level cases out of our justice system. We released a drug policy, which is basically a declination of charges for those who are arrested for standalone low-level personal drug use. Cases that we would have charged, like possession of a pipe or possession of a small amount of drugs, without a few excluders. We do not charge those cases anymore for the first 3 times that the person comes into our system. Instead, we divert those cases and send them over to healthcare for treatment. And we're trying to get a system in place with our health department as well to track the cases that we are referring to them, to see if people are really getting treatment. So too early to tell what those statistics are going to look like. And then for a number of other cases, so for example, the very minor shoplifting cases under $200, which usually involves food or some other item of that nature, we on those first times that they come through to our office, we do not charge those cases. But if we get repeat offenders, then those cases get packaged and we can consider them for charging and or the diversion. Of course, there's the mental health diversion programs that we participate in partnership with all of our justice partners and the court, and similarly a veterans court, which is also a diversion program for veterans. So those are all of the ones that come to mind, and I'm happy to take any questions that anyone has.
I do not see any hands raised. Are there any questions? All right. Not hearing any, we'll move on to the final presentation from Pal.
Good afternoon, everybody. Detective Stewart, Richmond PD. On behalf of the Richmond Police Department, RPAL, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to you all and thank you for being here. Just a little bit background about me. I started in Richmond in 2010, worked patrol for about 4 years. Then I became a school resource officer for about 3 years, and then I moved into investigations. I worked over at the Family Justice Center for about 4 years, working on juvenile cases, domestic violence cases, and sexual assault cases. And I am currently assigned to the homicide unit. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the presentation here. All right, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so I thought a good place to start would be the history of the RPAL, the Richmond Police Department, Fostering Our Future Youth Academy program. So our program began in 2018, and it originally started out as a partnership between the DA's office, Richmond PAL, and the police department. And the idea behind creating this diversion program was to find alternatives other than prosecuting juvenile for nonviolent crimes that they commit. So since 2018, we've had about 4 cycles. 20 students altogether have participated in those cycles. And the demographics of those students break down to about 5 Black females, 1 white male, 2 Hispanic males, 3 Hispanic females, and 2 that were listed as others. So out of those 20 students, 1 quit, meaning that they started the program and dropped out during the cycle. 1 reoffended, meaning they started the program, they actually graduated and then got into trouble after they successfully completed the program, and 18 have been successful. So one of the cases that stands out for us is a young lady, and for the purposes of this presentation, we're going to refer to her as student Jane Doe. A while back, Miss Jane Doe ended up embezzling a large amount of money from her employer. Her employer found out about it, made a police report. Because she was a juvenile at the time, the investigation was sent over to our Youth Services Division. The detective at the time began looking into the case, and as he was conducting follow-up, he learned that she was a straight A student. She had never been in trouble before, and she was extremely passionate about her education. He also learned that the reason she embezzled the money was to assist her in paying for upcoming costs that she would endure for college. So after receiving all this information, he contacted the DA's office. The juvenile DA at the time agreed with him that this would be a good case for diversion. So he was able to enroll student Jane Doe. As she was going through her cycle, she was a model student in the program. After she completed the program, she was actually able to enroll at East Bay at 17 years old, and she came back to RPAL, and she's currently a mentor there for younger folks. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Dawn Moultrie, who is the programming and mentoring manager at RPAL, for an overview of the diversion program.
Thank you so much, Detective Stewart, and hello, everyone. So just to review, the Fostering Our Future Youth Academy program has been designed to redirect youth who have committed those minor offenses away from the justice system and more towards community-based programs and other support options that are more appropriate for them than confinement. The purpose for us having this is to create a more productive way of addressing and preventing future youth delinquency. So the partnership between RPAL, RPD, and other community organizations targets juveniles ages 12 to 17 who have committed misdemeanors, offenses, and youth who have been referred from our program partners like law enforcement agencies, community-based organizations, school administrations, DA's office, as an opportunity to avoid prosecution in the court system. So the purpose of this program is for us to find alternative solutions, to have some restorative justice, and to build some life skills within the youth to prevent them from future offenses that may lead them further into the system. So the program overview is we teach life skills, and some of those involve education support, career support, conflict resolution and anger management, life skills, victor offender reconciliation and community services, legal awareness sort classes, as well as moving beyond substance dependency, and that can be prevention or intervention. Some of the education supports that they may receive are helping them to get back into school. We also have our daytime curfew program. We have student success skills to help them raise their basic skills, and any actual support that they may need based on what their case manager has identified in their individual development plan. Career, they may hear from career professionals who come in and speak to them. We do some career exploration exercises based on what they have determined are some of their future goals. We talk to them about professionalism and do some employment readiness work. And then we also connect them to Youth Works or any other programs based on their personal development plan, and even employ them through RPAL to ensure that they have actual employment support. We have conflict management and anger management skills where they'll learn like problem solving, effective communication and listening skills, creative thinking. We do skills to manage their anger. We have also a boxing program that is about boxing, fitness, and anger management.
Okay. Okay. All right, lady.
And then we also focus on emotional intelligence. Life skills vary depending on the group and what has been identified in their personal development plan, but there's a lot around financial literacy. Let's see, I think we covered most of the others. And then there's the victim offender reconciliation and community services that may come up. And then our legal awareness discusses like the crimes young people are frequently arrested for, understanding their rights. And Detective Stewart will speak more on that, so I won't say too much. And then we have a lot of partnerships that are involved in this program. Of course, RPAL, RPD, the District Attorney's Office, the school districts, the Contra Costa County Office of Education, which we actually have here on site. The Golden Gate School is here in our building. So we partner really closely with them. Youth Services Bureau, West County Adolescent Mental Health, Department of Corrections, and then the Neighborhood Opportunity and Accountability Board. So the referral process, I will turn that back over to Detective Stewart.
Thank you, Dawn. So the way the referral process works is usually a patrol officer will respond to the scene of a crime. Once they determine that a crime has been committed, they will author a police report and or make an arrest based on the circumstances. So after they author their report, the report is submitted to their immediate supervisor. The supervisor reviews the reports, and then because it's a juvenile that's listed as the arrestee or the suspect, that report gets sent to our Youth Services Division. So a Youth Services Division detective will then review that case. And they'll pretty much determine right then and there whether or not it meets the criteria for diversion. If it does meet the criteria for diversion, they will contact the juvenile DA. They'll both discuss the case. So they'll get the DA's approval. Once that happens, the detective will then contact the family of the juvenile and obtain their consent for them to be able to participate in the program. And then they'll be enrolled in the next cycle of the diversion program. And I'll turn it back over to Dawn.
So upon the completion of the 8-week program, it is our desire for the youth to continue to remain a member of RPAL. And as part of their personal development plan, we connect them to the programs within PAL or within other community organizations that will reduce their chances of reoffending. And so we'll get into the programs that are available to them afterwards, but the purpose is for our PAL staff who have developed a relationship with them over those 8 weeks to continue to cultivate a relationship with them, with the youth and the families. The families are very involved in this process when possible. And also for our PD who has cultivated relationships during that time to continue to do so. Really making sure that they have that actual mentoring and support for at least a year after after participating in the program. So the intake and screening process, it has multiple steps to it. So prior to them participating, there is a pre-evaluation process that they go through. They will complete a rules and regulations form, a pre-evaluation form, participation and medical release. And then those forms are actually turned in and reviewed by the youth crimes detective before they are actually approved for participation in the program. And so this is based off of forms that we received from the San Ramon Police Department's Diversion Program. After they have completed those packets, they are welcomed into the program and go through all the orientation process that was discussed earlier. And they can complete other paperwork that includes a risk screening. This tool will tell us the likelihood that they will reoffend, a mental health screening, and a substance use screening. So what's available to the youth? They complete the intake and assessment. We also provide an orientation that brings the youth and caregivers together and then also separates them and provides support for the youth in one room and the caregivers in another room. There's individual case management throughout the process. We check grades and attendance as needed through Power School regularly. There's daytime curfew support, weekly group sessions where they're meeting twice a week, an individual success plan that's developed, and then ongoing intervention and support, and then resource and referrals to other organizations and agencies as determined by their individual case plan. Okay, so some of the weekly sessions that they're doing throughout these 8 weeks are the Who Am I, the labels we give ourselves, which uses a trauma-informed lens, breaking the cycle of violence, self-awareness and self-care that focus on the 3 E's of education, empowerment, and exposure. Productive communication, and in here we also identify triggers and really focus on emotional intelligence and in the decision making that includes self-reflection before responding. Choices and how they will affect you. So they talk about the choices that they're making and the consequences that may come from those choices, and then a deep dive into the juvenile justice system. We also cover life skills like financial literacy, healthy relationships, alcohol and drug awareness, and then education and career support. And I'll turn it back over to Detective Stewart.
So legal awareness session. So I actually had the opportunity to participate in this week during our last cycle. It was really awesome. We got a lot of interaction from the students during these classes. So what I learned as a school resource officer and while I was working on youth services, our juvenile cases as a detective, is that many of the juveniles don't understand the seriousness of the crimes they commit. So what we did is we got together and we made a list of the most common crimes that we see juveniles arrested for. We created a PowerPoint, and what we did is we listed the crime elements to those crimes. We also talk about interactions with law enforcement. So we talk about what a consensual encounter is with a police officer and what you're not obligated to do. Then we move into detentions and talking about the difference between a consensual encounter and what a detention is. And then we talk about arrest and the process for that. And I'll turn it back over to Dawn for the prison tour.
Also part of the program, besides the weekly workshops, is also a prison tour. And a lot of times people confuse this with Scared Straight, and this is very different from that. This is a program called Unity, Understanding, Nurturing, and Inspiring the Youth. It's designed to be a youth awareness program. It offers counseling, education, mentoring, and support to the youth by sharing life experiences and journeys that led the participants that are actually speaking to the youth to prison in the first place. The youth take the tour along with staff and the parents or caregivers, and they experience an actual tour, inmates sharing their story, and it leads to a conversation. There's also small groups that are involved, and there's a separation so that the parents are in one room and the youth participants are in another room where they are able to have real conversations. Then they are also brought back together to discuss their experiences at the end. So this is a timeline that was used for one of our sessions that started in April. So every timeline is different, but to start reviewing the cases, complete the background and compile a list, reach out to the parents and the guardians. Selections are then made, the package is provided, the youth submit all the paperwork. The information comes to our case manager here, and we coordinate everything with all of our community partners that are presenting in the workshops. After the paperwork is completed and reviewed and everybody is brought in, there's a staff meeting. We bring in the COPE program. Families come in and do their orientation. The focus group starts. Then there's programs that come in like the Drug and Alcohol Anonymous group, the prison tour, the various workshops happen. And once they've completed the program, they get their individual their personal development plan. That's kind of like their map for the future. And then we also have a graduation ceremony for them. And the case manager coordinates with them with an exit interview for that part, but also refers them to the additional support that they'll review for the rest of the year upcoming. Okay, so ongoing programming at PAL. We have a lot of programs that are available to all youth, and so we like to keep the participation going. We have our programming delineated into 6 different areas: employment support, education support, creative expressions, diversion and mentoring, recreation and athletics, and then STEM programs. So for education, we offer Monday through Thursday our after school homework and tutoring support, college awareness workshops for 8th through 11th grade. We also have a college prep workshop for 11th graders who are preparing for college, help them complete any applications, scholarships, those sorts of things. We have a transition support workshop for youth who are starting college to support them through their first year of college. We do college tours throughout the year, and we also do an HBCU tour every year. So we go, it depends, we switch up. Last time we went to DC, this time we are going from Atlanta to New Orleans and Alabama. Those are the 3 places we're going this time. We also have student success, where we have a workshop where they learn note taking and test taking and all the skills that will lead them to success in school. And then we have our Richmond Young Scholars Scholarship Program. For employment services, we offer our Youth Ambassadors Program, which is a summer program in partnership with the city, where the youth are receiving life skills, but also working with local businesses around cleaning up the city and around supporting the businesses, and actually serving as a liaison between the city and business owners. We have youth employment throughout the year, where we're constantly hiring youth to come work at RPAL, receive supervision, and receive a case plan. And we have an entrepreneurship program, and we've recently remodeled our computer lab, and we have now makerspace opportunities there. So we're tying in our entrepreneurship program to also learning printing and screen printing and different skills that they can use in micro businesses. And then we have our employment readiness workshop series and our career exploration workshop series. In creative expressions, we have a music program. We have a full music studio here. So youth are able to learn instruments. They're able to learn vocal training, production. We have voiceover program, and we also have podcasting. And then, as I spoke, we also have our makerspace program. Our makerspace programs, there's multiple programs in there. And then we also have additional diversion and mentoring supports that are ongoing after. So we have our Changing Habits, Attitudes, and Minds program, which is it is directed towards males that are in middle and high school, especially African American and Latino males. We have our alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs intervention and prevention program. We have our West County Youth Reinvestment Initiative, which is a partnership between various organizations, including ONS, Safe Return Project, RPAL, and RISE. And then we have one-on-one mentors where we connect our youth with a mentor from the community that spends time with the youth at least an hour a week for at least a year commitment. And then for recreation and athletics, which has been RPAL's history, that's what people really have known us for over the years. We have various competitive basketball leagues. We have developmental basketball, Junior Giants baseball, the Richmond Little League. We have boxing and anger management fitness program. We also have, we're bringing in a culinary arts and gardening program soon. And then we have dance, cheer, and tennis. And then for our STEAM programs, we have Beautiful Minds, which is a program directed towards girls of color to really focus on developing them as young ladies with life skills, but mainly a focus on providing them STEM opportunities, teaching them the skills that will prepare them for future careers in STEM industries where they're currently underrepresented. We have Lego Robotics, where the youth are able to learn some coding and robotic skills and participate in local, state, and national competitions. And then we also partner with the Interact project around teaching youth design and graphic design skills. Okay, we discussed all of those. So. And then incentives to participate, they receive a long-term plan. They have partnerships with adult mentors, a case manager. We review any obstacles that may be in their way, do some goal setting. There are sometimes some financial incentives and stipends that are available for certain things. And then we do follow up with the youth and have evaluations for them. So failure to participate or complete the program, of course, is considered a failure to comply. So the case will then be forwarded to the DA's office, and the DA's office will determine how to move forward with the case. Any questions for either of us?
Do not see any hands. Are there any
I
questions?
have one again. Just reading the room first.
All right.
So for the additional programs you were just going over just a couple minutes ago, are those available to youth, say, before they exhibit a behavioral issue or would come into contact with probation or something like that? Are those things that that youth can access and are aware of, or are made aware of, and families are made aware of, you know, in a way that could be used as preventive?
Yes. So to answer your question, all of our programs are offered to all youth who are in West Contra Costa County. And during COVID, we've actually extended our reach beyond that due to being able to offer services virtually. So yes, any youth that you have, youth that are referred through like the Diversion Program or certain other programs are able to waive the fee, but our normal participation fee is just $30 per year. And that covers all programming. The only thing that's offered here that has additional costs is Richmond Little League baseball.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Savannah and Dawn, for your presentation. That wraps up the presentations that we actually have scheduled at this point. Chris, there weren't any other ones that we were waiting for, is that correct? he might be busy. I don't remember any other ones that we were actually waiting for. So those are the presentations. So we need to go back to number 3 on our agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, before I do that, is there any public comment around any of the 3 presentations that we heard today? If you're a member of the public and want to speak on any, raise your hand in the little thing or raise your hand. All right, I don't see anybody. I'm glad you're able to make it, Stephanie, because we agreed to come back to number 3 on the agenda, and we wanted to wait until you got here, and actually Cheryl too, because we need to nominate a new subcommittee chair. And in our initial quick discussion, we didn't have any volunteers. So we wanted to give you all the opportunity to weigh in.
Hey, everybody. I was actually going to nominate Robin because Robin was the co-chair.
Right back at you, Stephanie. I can't take it on. I'm sorry. I would self-nominate if I felt I had the bandwidth for it, but I just don't. So my apologies. Stephanie, I think you would make a fantastic chair of this committee, if you're willing.
Before I commit, I'll open it up for Cheryl if she would want to take on co-chair or chair responsibilities. Is she still on or did she leave?
It looks like she's still here.
She's still here, but in the chat, she is dealing with a family emergency, she said. So she might not be fully engaged or listening. I was gonna suggest Cheryl also.
How about co-chairs? Is that something we can do?
I think so. I mean, you and I were co-chairs. Well,
Sort of, kind of. But if Cheryl's not here, I don't think it's fair to make her do something.
Yeah, I mean, I could take it and maybe we can revisit, but I'll take on chair for right now.
thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate it. We
You're
just
welcome.
swapped. We just swapped. All right. So I do we need to vote on that? Yes, it says
Yes.
vote. So
Can we get
there's
a motion?
I motion that that Stephanie become the chair of the diversion subcommittee. Make a motion.
Second.
All right.
Okay. Let's see. Savannah,
No, she's not a member of the committee.
my apologies. I'm sorry. I'm going through my tile faces and didn't realize that. Anyway, thanks, Savannah, for your presentation. DA Beckton,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Stephanie,
It always feels weird voting for yourself, but yes.
Robin,
Yes, indeed.
Kira,
Yes.
Tamisha,
Aye.
and Cheryl. I'm not sure if will have.
What are you calling my name for? Sorry.
Oh, we have a motion for Stephanie to serve as the next subcommittee chair.
Unless you want to take it.
Oh, good Lord, Stephanie, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm coming from the airport here in St. Louis, so my mind is. I'm sorry. I'm diverted. I'm diverted from diversion committee. Yes, my answer is yes. So go ahead. My answer is yes for Stephanie.
Great. Thank you, Cheryl. Safe travels.
Thank
All
you
right,
so
the
much.
motion passes.
All right, thank you. Well, we are finishing early, but our next, actually, shouldn't you be doing this, Stephanie? You want me to finish it off? I'll finish it for you. We are finishing.
I was looking for the agenda
Agenda.
so I could make sure we didn't have anything, but
Yeah, that was the last item on our agenda, except to adjourn to the next diversion subcommittee meeting, which is June 17th from 1 to 3.
bye everyone.
Thank you, Stephanie.
And
Thank you.
Stephanie.
All right.
Thank you,
all
bye.
for your
Bye. Thanks,
presentations again.
Pizza.
Thank you. Bye.